Welcome back. I'm Emma with a new episode of New Release Rundown. Joining me today is Andrew from Red Castle Games, all the way up from Portland. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
You want to tell me a little bit, since we haven't had Red Castle on before, you want to tell me a little bit about your store?
Sure. Red Castle is a game store in Southeast Portland, in Oregon. And right now our location, it offers role-playing games, board games, Magic, the Gathering. The cool thing is we are going to be moving our store 6 blocks away. And
wow.
When we move, we're going to have beer and coffee. We'll have like a coffee shop. So
now you're speaking my language.
Yeah.
I always like to get a little bit of like either a beer or like a coffee if it's early in the morning. It's really nice to have that option. Are you excited for the move? Are you stressed out?
I'm super excited.
Yeah.
We're pretty much building out the space from scratch, so it's really nice to have like our own space that we get to build.
Nice. And that must mean you're doing well if you have the opportunity to move into a new space.
Yeah.
That's super cool. All right, let's start with the games we're talking about today. I believe you have a choice of a beginning game.
First, I wanted to start with the D&D Essentials Kit.
Tilt it right over
Oh,
here. All right, so D&D Essentials Kit, Dungeons and Dragons, just in a really nice form factor, right?
Yeah, what's so cool about this, rather than the starter, is it really focuses on the culture of D&D now. Like, it really focuses on the role playing rather than, in the starter kit, it was pre-made characters and it was pretty set what you do. In the Essentials Kit, you get to create your own character, and they have this really cool new thing where, as you'll notice, it has for 2 to 6 players rather than the old box said 4 to 7 or 4 to 6.
Yeah.
With the Essentials Kit, it really focuses on new duet play.
Oh, cool.
Where you can even just play.
Yeah, let's crack this open.
Yeah, a DM and a player, because you get these really cool sidekicks.
This stuff. You want the sheets?
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
There's all sorts of stuff in there.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff.
Set up the box.
So what you get these cool.
Oh, right. I heard about
sidekicks.
this.
Yeah.
Let's hold this right over here in front of this camera. Perfect. So if you're playing, this is for the 2-player game, mostly.
This part is for the 2-player game, but I mean, you can use it in the extended one as well.
Yeah.
But what I really love about these, on the back, rather than having their stat blocks, it has all of their personalities, ideals, and bonds. So I really love that this whole box focuses on the role-playing aspect rather than like a tactical combat.
Yeah, just pure combat.
Yeah.
I'm going to read one of these out here. Pickled Pete was the one.
Oh, yeah, Pickled Pete's great.
Right here in the middle. Pete likes ale and tends to function better while tipsy at his best. He's quite the handyman and comes up with all sorts of crazy ways to get things done. Flaw, all this drinking is bad for my memory. Seriously, I can't remember my last name.
Yes.
So you got some great flavor there, which is awesome. And you got your dice, which is great. Looks like you got a couple sets in there.
Yeah, it's like an extended dice set, because the old one just gave you 1d6. This gives you 3d6.
Okay.
Often you'll need more than one.
Yeah.
And you get 2 d20s instead of just 1 d20 in case you have advantage or disadvantage.
Nice.
And then.
So this is enough dice for one player. Like, you will need more dice, but that's okay. You can go out and buy more dice, which is great.
Yes, definitely. And then the adventure itself is pretty cool, because it's more like sandboxy. And what you can do is you can kind of do things in your own order.
Yeah.
And you can, it's kind of like a quest board. You just kind of go to the quest board and see what the daily quest is and kind of choose your own adventure. Cool. Rather than just follow on rails.
Yeah. And you have the Essentials Kit here, which has character creation.
Yeah.
And this is everything you need.
This is everything you need.
Right? You can just take the Essentials Kit and hit the ground running.
Definitely. And also, this one, it helps you make characters, which is better than different than the first one. And that'll take you all the way up to 1st through 6th level. And you get, I think, 5 different character choices instead of the 4 classic ones.
Nice.
But if you've played the first one, the cool thing about this is you can also just move right on from there, because it takes place in the same town. So you get this cool map of Phandalin, which is the starter town in the starter box as well.
Nice. Oh, from the starter kit?
Yeah, from the starter kit.
Oh, okay, cool. So they kind of connect.
So, yeah, they can connect.
Nice.
If you want them to, or you can just start with the Essentials
Yeah.
Kit. Yeah.
I have to say, this is a lot less intimidating than starter kit is good. This looks like potentially even better way for new players to get into it. Because I used to work at Monk's Boarding House, and we'd have people come in all the time, parents, especially during the craze of Stranger Things. You know, how do I D&D my kids, right?
Yeah,
How do I do the D&Ds? And you're like, well, you know, you need this book, and then you need this other book for the GM. You need a bunch of dice, and there wasn't a seamless way. These books are a lot smaller too, which is like, I love my player's handbook, but thumbing through that it can be kind of intimidating if you've never done it before.
Yeah, it's great. We still often get people like, hey, I just watched Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Where do I start?
Yeah.
And this is a great product for us.
Absolutely. So that is the Essentials Kit. Very fun. And then, you know, you start off that, you catch the bug, and then you can kind of add over time, like get a player's handbook for more information, get the GM guide if you want to get more, the DM guide if you want to get more into it. Right, I'm going to put that over here. All right, anything speaking to you next, or you want me to grab something?
Let's see, go ahead and grab something.
Yeah, let's go right to Gloom of Thrones. So I'm gonna put this here, if we can get this on camera, it's a little smaller. You got that, Will? All right, so Gloom of Thrones is a combination of a couple of existing things. So there's Gloom, obviously, and then I feel like there's a TV show or something that's related.
There's a TV show that's
Fairly
related,
well-known.
but this game is non-IP infringing, which
yes.
is great. You have the Bannisters and the Snarks, rather than some other names. And this one is great because it plays along with Gloom.
Oh, cool. So is it a standalone as well?
It is a standalone as well.
Okay, but you can add it to your existing copy.
Yeah.
I'm going to try not to mess this up too much, but hopefully that will still stand. So what's really cool about Gloom is that you have these, I don't know if these are going to show up on camera, but you have these see-through cards, and there's a character as well in there. But you layer them on top of your character, and mechanically there's you're covering things up over time, right?
Yeah, and in Gloom, the goal of the game is to be the saddest, die the saddest. And whoever has the least amount of points at the end wins.
Yeah.
And this
From being miserable.
Yeah.
You make your family miserable.
This is very much like that, but it does add this new card,
Ooh.
which is the Porcelain Throne.
The Porcelain Throne. I get that. Yeah.
And this one is so characters with you can use this crown.
With a crown, yeah.
And get it. And then if you end up dying with this, at the very end you get 30 extra, minus 30 points.
Minus 30 points, which is good.
Yeah.
Nice. So it adds a little different flavor, because there's been a couple of different Glooms.
Yeah, so there's been Fairy Tale Gloom, regular Gloom. There's Gloom expansions as well, but these can all play with it.
And this one, it's a lightly mechanical game. You're trying to play bad stuff on yourself and good stuff on your opponent. So you, along the lines of, I'm going to throw you a birthday party. And they're like, no, I hate this. Now I'm happy. I don't want to be happy. And from what I've heard about the game, it plays a lot better if you lean into the flavor of it, right?
Yeah.
To kind of like storytell a little bit.
Yeah, the great thing is you can do as much kind of role-playing storytelling as your group wants to do.
Yeah.
So you can just play the cards if you want, but if you're comfortable, it's fun to tell like an overarching story.
Yeah, cool. And this one is by Atlas Games, designer Kyla McTee, and I had to talk about the artist here, so I immediately recognize this art. Brian Patterson, who does the webcomic D20 Monkey, as well as like other comics over time, and he actually illustrated my game Heartcatchers.
Oh, awesome.
Like my first game that I designed was illustrated by Brian Patterson. So I always see those faces, I'm like, yes, Brian. He does so much great art for the industry as well that it's super exciting to see new stuff.
That's great, and I'm not really too familiar with this designer. I'm familiar with the original designer, Keith Baker, who's a fellow Portlander, who comes in the store, and it's pretty cool.
Nice,
but I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, Kyla works for Atlas.
Oh, okay.
So she's one of the designers and developers there, and it's super cool to see, like, for this game, like, now she is the designer for taking Keith Baker's original idea and updating it for new, not quite IP, but something that will be recognizable to folks. So yeah, that is super exciting, and definitely check that out if you like glumness. It makes me think of Addams Family-esque, right?
Yeah.
Like darkness and gloominess. Super fun option. Let's talk about Machi Koro Legacy, actually. I'm trying to get a good balance of what we're talking about here. So put that right over there for the camera. So Machi Koro, very recognizable. I'm sure a lot of our audience will have heard of this game or play this game. This was actually one of the first, I'll call it a hobby board game, even though it's pretty casual. It's one of the first hobby board games I ever played. I went to Gen Con 2015, and this was one of the first board games that we bought, and we actually sat down in the halls of Gen Con with the rules, and we're like, and someone came over, a total stranger, and taught us the game.
That's awesome.
Very fun city building game, dice rolling, stuff happens on your turn and other people's turns. So now it's Legacy. If you want to talk about that.
Yeah, and so I haven't played it yet, but from what I understand is that in this version it starts pretty basic, but then as it goes on, it goes through 10 different games. It just keeps changing every single time something new is implemented, but it still keeps that Machi Koro accessibility. It's not like too much to pick up, and the great thing about it is that from what I've read is that after the 10 games you can just kind of start over if you want. It's more of like a campaign rather than a destroying legacy kind of game.
Yeah. So for those of you who might not have played Legacy games, it's a game that evolves over time. People have likened it to watching a season of a TV show, right? So instead of you have board game night, what do we play? You kind of make a commitment to, you're going to have, some people run them over the course of a weekend or kind of jam them all in, but often it's like week to week, like, okay, we're going to do episode 1, we're going to do episode 2, and it really lets you already know the rules, so you can just like sit down and start playing it, but you have an evolving experience over time, which is super fun. And it's closed right now because it is a legacy game, so there's a lot of surprises and hidden stuff that will come out over time. And this one is designers Rob Davio, J.R. Honeycutt, and Masu Suganuma. Artists Noboru Hata, Jason Kingsley, and Stevo Torres as well. This one's by Pandasaurus Games, and they are known for variety. They have everything from The Mind to Dead Man's Cabal.
And this is one of 2 games we have by Rob Davio and J.R. Honeycutt.
Yeah. Cool. So let's put this aside and hop right on to the next one. That's Unmatched, right? Yeah. So I want to dig into this. I want to spend a little time, crack it open, talk about some of the characters, because this is an interesting trend. This is by Mondo Games and Restoration Games. A lot of games have come out this year that are accessible minis games, like minis games meant to be played not by Warhammer players or Warhordes players, but a more general audience.
Yeah, I think this is a great game for that. It's actually based on the old Star Wars Epic Duels, which is why it's Restoration.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Which I haven't played the Epic Duels, but a lot of people really love that game. So.
Yeah, so Restoration Games, I was thinking about that before the show, because they're really known for taking older games and giving them new life. So not necessarily like using an old game as an inspiration and making a completely new thing, but really staying true to what was fun and exciting about the old property. So it's the Star Wars Duels engine, kind of, but they're using, I would say, public domain characters for this, right? Let's pop it open so we can look at some of this cool stuff. All right.
So here we have the board. And let's see, let's pull out some.
And how many players is this?
It plays 2 or 4.
2 or 4, okay.
But if you play the 2-player, then you're going to play with your character plus if they have one, their minion. But if you play 4-player, then you can have 2 players on each side, play like one playing the character, one playing the minion.
Okay. And right off the bat, I think you might be able to see this on the table, but hold it up a little bit for the camera. This looks like it's double-sided, so there's a couple of kind of asymmetric options. And this is a really good footprint for a minis game. Like you see a lot of other minis games, and they take up a lot of table space. So this is a very reasonable amount of space for a minis tactical combat game.
Yeah, and the miniatures, they come with like this pre-wash, so they already look really great. Like, you don't even have to do anything. You don't have to be a miniatures painter to make them look cool.
Yeah, that's excellent. I was talking to Privateer Press about Riot Quest, which I thought was super fun. And they're like, well, you do have to assemble, and then you can just like spray coat them as a color. I'm like, that still is a barrier. I want to play this game, but for me personally, just it's an extra step, right? Having to sit down and prepare these pieces.
Yeah. So what's so cool about this game is that every character plays differently. They have different hit points. They have different minions that help them out.
And let me grab it.
Let's see if we can get this out. Okay, cool. So King Arthur, we have
King Arthur and Medusa right?
Yeah.
Cool.
So King Arthur is good at attacking up close. He has a smaller movement, but like what he has is that he can do like extra attacks.
So there's a character card, is that?
Yeah, so this is your character card, but it is both your King Arthur and your sidekick, which is Merlin.
Merlin, nice.
And Merlin has a ranged attack, so he's different than King Arthur even. And then your cards, they do different things. Some of them do attack or defense, and then some of them do either. They're these versatile cards. But they have specific names for some of them. Like some are only for King Arthur, some are only for Merlin.
I see, yeah.
And then on your turn, what you can do is you can draw a card and move. That's one of the actions you can do. You can play these lightning cards, which do like a special thing, and then, or you can attack.
Is that the starburst pattern up
Yeah,
here?
that's the starburst pattern. Looks like that, yeah. And the King Arthur's just completely different than Medusa.
Yeah, so some of the abilities on here, Noble Sacrifice. During combat, you may boost this attack. This is in addition to any boost from King Arthur's special ability. So it looks like you have a few keywords here. So you have your deck. This looks like there's not a deck building element to it. You just start with all the cards in there, and then you'll draw you'll like go through your deck and have your abilities.
Yeah, you just shuffle and go. You don't have to do any deck building. You don't have to buy any extra packs. You're ready to go.
Yeah, it looks like there's some card draw after combat. So some of the abilities also. So some of the cards have movement. Is all the movement on the cards then?
So the movement is just your move. One of the actions you can do is pretty much you draw a card and you move, but then some of the cards let you do an additional movement. Sometimes you can do like a move and attack, or like an attack and get away kind of thing, or cancel the other person's effect.
Okay.
Yeah. And then
I have the minis portion of it, and it's giving me a little bit of a villainous vibe as well, because of the asymmetricality of it and the variability with which the different characters play.
Yeah, and there's 4 characters that come in the box, but they also have other characters. There's Bruce Lee and Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Nice.
Which I don't know if those are released. I don't think those are released yet, but they're coming. But if you want to.
Yeah, so it looks like Merlin is going around punching stuff with a sword.
Oh no, King Arthur does.
King Arthur, yeah.
Yeah,
sorry.
and then Merlin
shoots the spell bolts and stuff.
Yeah, and then Medusa, she's actually a really good ranged character.
Okay.
And then she controls these little harpies, which don't have very many hit points, but they can do some cool abilities.
Nice. Yeah, in the art she has, and I think they have the weapons. Yeah. So that's always nice too with the minis, she has a bow, so it's pretty readable, like, oh, she's gonna be going around shooting stuff. Gaze of Stone, after combat, if you won the combat, deal 8 damage to the opposing fighter. So is the hit points on here? Do they have a starting amount?
Yeah, they're on the dial, as it just starts at the very end of the dial. So King Arthur starts with 18 hit points. But so 8 damage is a ton of damage.
It's like almost half your health.
Yeah, Medusa does a lot of damage. I played yesterday with my friend, and he killed Merlin in one shot with
Oh my
Medusa.
gosh.
So
Yeah. So you have your 2 dials for health tracking, 1 for your character and 1 for your sidekick.
yeah.
And I do want to call out just the art and the style for this game. One of the things that strikes me immediately is just very evocative, kind of pulpy almost. Like the art style reminds me a little bit of Horrified, which came out recently, just like the Medusa character here. And Mondo Games, who Restoration Games partnered with, they originally started having done music, having done posters and apparel. So they have a very powerful graphic sensibility, and you can see that they definitely put that into this game.
And one great thing about this is it's the price point. It's only $39.99 for a miniatures game.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a really, really good deal.
Yeah. So everything that you need for 2 to 4 players to play in this box. It's got a good footprint. Again, for some of the other games, Riot Quest. I've been playing a lot of Funkoverse as well. Love all these new minis games. They definitely take a lot of space on the table.
Yeah.
So to have something like this that you probably have bigger tables and smaller tables at your store, so sometimes it's nice to have something that kind of squeeze in there. Let me pull out these 2 minis real quick. We got Alice.
And the cool thing about Alice is she can
Has
get
a huge sword.
Yeah, she can get bigger and smaller. So
yeah.
it's harder to hit when she's smaller.
Nice.
Does more damage when she's bigger. And then that's
And
Sinbad.
then Sinbad as well. Yeah,
He tells really bad jokes. So.
Right.
Sorry, wrong Sinbad.
I got you. Yeah. Yeah. So these are just as I try to fit it into this, the
good thing is that there's only 4.
Right. I'm like, I kind of want to hold this up. I don't want to dump everything out, but the tray for it, the
Oh,
insert
yeah,
is
the
really
insert is
nice as well.
awesome.
Just to be able to, again, for these games, accessibility. There's how good is the game for a purchasing standpoint. Someone comes into your store is like, oh, this is a good game, but there's a lot of other factors people don't think of for size it takes up, ease of getting into, ease of packing away. Kind of just open the box and be ready to play. And this definitely looks like a game that's easy to dive into.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. And so how long have you had this one for? This is pretty recently into the store, right?
Yeah, this one we got yesterday.
Oh, nice.
I think it released
Thank you
this week.
for bringing it so soon. Because that's what we like to do here on New Release Rundown is get the hottest of the hot. Make sure you're seeing these games. Is that a Medusa card?
Yeah.
Cool. I say, as there's this great insert here, and and now I will proceed to put everything in nicely. Because are these games that people can borrow if they come to the store?
Yeah, so we do have a rental library. If you're in the store, you can just check it out and play it in the store. But if you want, you can also take it for a week.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
And depending on the game, there's a fee. But if you decide that you love the game, you just get that amount off.
Yeah.
You come back, you can purchase the game.
Oh, nice.
That you tried out. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really great.
So all of these games, except for Machi Koro.
Yes. certain games, legacy games.
Yeah. We will have in our demo library.
Cool. Yeah, and that really helps. Again, the game could have the best rating in the world. All your friends could be excited about it, but you don't know if you're going to enjoy it. So you actually sit down and play. Speaking of which, let's go in another direction. I've had my eye on this one. Octopus, super adorable.
It's so cute. It's the cutest kids game ever.
Yeah.
It is a dexterity cooperative game, which is great for kids. I mean, you want them to learn to work together.
Yeah.
I love that kids games now aren't just all competitive. And there's so many cool cooperative choices out there.
Because there are, as you mentioned, quite a few dexterity competitive games. Cat Tower, Animal upon Animal. Definitely a lot that involve a stacking element, but working together is super exciting. And you said before the show that we might be able to just play this?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's a 5-minute game. We don't total. It has a timer.
Yeah.
So we can
awesome.
Even
How long is the assembly?
It's pretty easy. So you just take this octopus.
Look at these fish.
This beautiful.
These are just amazing, gorgeous, chunky pieces. Art is beautiful, and the box, you don't always see this on boxes, but you actually have just a beautiful seascape on the inside of this. I think that really adds to it. You said this comes from Jekko?
Jekko, yeah. So Jekko, I think, came into the Asmodee line via France, I think around March. And they've been releasing games since then. And they're all just really beautiful. And it's great because a lot of people, they come and get a lot of our family games. We have a lot of Haba games. But sometimes, people are like, hey, I already have, Rhino Hero, all these other ones. What are some new cool kids games? And then we can be like, oh, check this out. And so in this game, you are trying to save the fish from the octopus.
Oh, no.
So what we're going to do is you have to work together. Every fish has...
So is this a 2-player game?
It's a 2-player game, yeah.
All right.
So every fish has 2 magnets, and it won't move unless you are both doing it. So
let me test this out
here.
Yeah,
go ahead and test it out. So, nope,
yeah, you can't pick it up by yourself.
But if we work, our powers combined, and we put it there.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's do another one.
All right.
I'm into it.
And just do as many as you can?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we're doing
it.
Here,
let me move some more fish over there so you don't have to jump over me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, ready?
Can we rotate the box to get to the
Yeah,
other
we'll
side?
just rotate the box. Okay, ready? Here we go.
Okay, so oh my gosh.
You have to go slow.
I can see how the speed, because you get stressed out about grabbing them, and you got to go slowly and gently. We're doing
the end where I shake it.
Pretty well here.
Yeah.
I could see potentially working with some. And then your poles stick together. Working with kids, especially younger kids. Oh my gosh. This could definitely be more of a dexterity challenge. I say as I promptly fail to even remotely. I hope y'all are having as much fun with this as I am, because, okay, orange fish is broken. Orange fish OP. What happens if it falls out? Is it dead?
I think we're actually supposed to put the boxes together so it doesn't happen.
So
but we'll say it hit the beach and someone will save it, put it back in the water.
Yeah. No fish were harmed in the playing of this game.
Other than when I shake the line at the end there.
You're just throwing them in there. So are there different modes to it, or?
No, this is the whole game.
Yeah.
It's for ages 3 to 7.
Okay.
I mean, I think grown-ups would have fun with this too.
I'm having fun right now. Like, this is, like, I was saying that it was super easy, but it's harder than it looks, and I'm a little stressed out now. But in a good way, like in a happy game playing way. Yeah, because this really reminds me, I can't see where my thing is. Oh yeah, yay, teamwork.
Got it.
This reminds me of that old school game with the battery powered one.
That's what I was thinking too.
With the fishing poles and the mouse would open and close. That was super frustrating.
Yeah.
Also competitive.
And then that one fish would break and its mouth wouldn't open or close.
Yeah, and you'd just be waiting there for it. And yeah, so it's very much, what happens if it flips over?
I don't know. Let's see.
Here, let's go for this green one.
Okay.
Are you allowed to touch the fish if they're... All right, we'll just say that one got away. That one swam away. All right. This one's like under the thing. Okay. We'll do this purple one, and then we'll call it a win, because we're going to do it in time. Okay. I got to... I'm like, I just want a stronger magnet on here.
I think my magnet might be stronger.
Yeah.
There we go. I wonder if it's hurting because I'm holding it.
Yeah, purple fish is also broken. Purple fish is heavier.
They make the last fish really hard to get.
Up until now, it's been a cakewalk, but now... Okay, I'm giving up on purple fish.
Right, let's give up.
Purple fish can stay there and get eaten by the octopus. Cool.
Yeah, that's octopus.
And that was the ink puddle here. Yeah. That was fast. Like it has a component to it that takes a little bit of assembly, but you could pop that together real quick. Just sit the kids down, either play it with your child or have 2 kids playing it together.
Yeah.
Get your children, the siblings, to cooperate together.
And it's holiday season coming up, so this is a great present. When someone opens this, just the
aesthetic of it. The fish that are in there, the inside of the box, just the production value on this is very, very nice. Go back to my notes. That was, So it's been released in Europe for a while, right? And this is the first.
Just in 2018.
In 2018.
Yeah, so it's not that long, but it just hit retail this week or last week.
Nice. Okay, let's move on to another role-playing game, Teens in Space. So this one is from Renegade Game Studios.
Yeah.
Makers of Kids on Bikes. And you might recognize the font and the style of this is very similar to Kids on Bikes because it's powered by Kids on Bikes, basically, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit bigger, it's a little bit meatier than Kids on Bike, but yeah.
Yeah. And so this one, get to my notes. Designers Jonathan Gilmore and Doug Lewandowski, same as for Kids on Bikes, and artist Heather Vaughn. So I haven't gotten to play Kids on Bikes yet, which it's one of those things, getting a group together to play a role-playing game can take a while. But I read through the books and all the scenarios, and it's a very easy system to get into. So it's very thematic. What I like about this system is it makes logical sense. So you're like, oh, I'm better at this, so I roll a bigger die.
Yeah, I love that it just really focuses on the role-playing rather than like number crunching.
Yeah.
And just depending on how good you are is how good of a die that you get to roll.
And there's combat, so like you do have the potential to get into fights, but at least for Kids on Bikes, you're pretty squishy. So you're not like level 20 power rogue or a barbarian. Like you're a kid or a teenager, right? So combat, I remember what it says in the book. Anytime you go enter combat, you have the chance to die.
Yeah, but I also have a chance to do something really cool because you have that exploding dice mechanism, which I love, like in Arcadia Quest, where you just get to keep going and going and going. So if you could have like a D6, but then end up rolling like really high and doing something really amazing.
Because that's what's cool about it. The GM can give you a challenge, like if your D4 is the lowest, like you're trash. Everyone knows you're really bad at this. D6 is slightly above that. So you might be a level 6 in charm or brawn or whatever, and then you roll that die, and the challenge, you have this D6, and the challenge is like 10. So you're like, how would I have a 6? Like, you can't roll higher than a 6, but like you said, with exploding dice, if you get a 6, you get to roll again, and you can feel really powerful in those moments. So what's different about this versus Kids on Bikes? They're in space.
Yeah, so they're in space.
Yeah.
What's really cool is you get to make your own ship.
Ooh, I like that part.
Yeah, you can, like, depending on what kind of ship that you want, like more of like a merchant vessel or like a warship.
I'm thinking aesthetics, like just a giant bubble with like sparkles and glitter and rainbows and stuff.
Yeah, and they have a little chart where you can roll just kind of your standard ship, or you can really, if you can come up with a good explanation why, you can maybe get some more interesting things on your ship.
Yeah.
And then, okay.
Oh, no, please.
Oh, I was gonna say, and then also the cool thing is, in this one you have like a whole page of different races. Like you can play a space bear, which is awesome.
Nice.
Who doesn't want to be a space bear?
Yeah.
Here's all of the species summary. If you want, you can read through a couple
Yeah,
of them.
yeah,
But there's
Abyssians, water-breathing humanoids who explore space in exoskeletons. Neozo, animals given human qualities and generally bad attitudes. Skitchlings, mouthless, gangly beings often hired for covert missions or their skills at dance. Viscosians, symbiotic gels looking for a willing host. So, and it's got some pictures there as well of some of these potential aliens. So whereas Kids on Bikes was, because all of this is kind of late 80s, early 90s teen movies or kids movies. So Kids on Bikes was kind of like E.T., I think is a great way to explain it to people that don't really know, or Stranger Things. You know, it was before the Stranger Things role-playing game came out. Kids on Bikes is like, oh, it's like Stranger Things, where you're kids, you're just normal kids in a small town doing small town stuff, and then weird stuff starts happening. What's nice about that is a lot of us grew up in small towns, or at least have been to small towns or lived in a small town at a certain point. So it's very easy to role play. You know, it's like, oh, you know, there's the corner store where they're very friendly, or there's the gas station where you always get ice cream. You know, we have a lot of connections to that. What's interesting about this is it's more like Last Starfighter, right?
I love Last Starfighter. I was always, kind of waiting for my call.
Yes.
But
so it's a little more dramatic. Like Kids on Bikes is more normal stuff happens and then the weird stuff, but you have the normal. But here it's just like space.
Yeah, and I've read a lot of people do it more like, somebody can do it more like Farscape, or you can do more like Firefly, where you just have like a crew and you're doing jobs. And then, I mean, the possibilities are limited, but you're supposed to, I mean, you don't have to be a teenager, but you're supposed to be like, you're kind of a young, full of emotions character.
Yeah.
But you don't have to play a teenager. But,
yeah. I mean, for Kids and Bikes, you can play kid, teenager, or an adult, but I like the framing of being kids because it's easier for me, and I think a lot of people, to role play being a kid because we all were kids once. You know, you can put yourself into that mentality as opposed to being a celestial warlock, right? I've never been a celestial warlock before, so it's a little more of a stretch, but being a kid, you can take some action, and you knew a lot of kids, right? You remember a lot of kids from your childhood. And same with being a teenager, right? We've all been there, and I think the dialing up the hormones and emotions and then putting in space seems very appropriate and thematic.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. I'll put that one over here as well. So we have two more. It looks like we have Campy Creatures and Obscurio. Let's start with Campy Creatures. Okay. And this is the second edition, right? Because I looked it up. It looks like the original was in 2017.
Yeah, they did a Kickstarter, but this is the first time it's come to retail.
Oh, very nice. So this is designer Mattox Schuler and artist Josh Emmerich, we'll say. So tell me about Campy Creatures.
So Halloween's coming up, of course.
I love we're getting our Halloween games out there.
They're starting to hit. So what's cool about this game, well, first off, I'll start with the artwork.
Wait, let me just, there's a dragon. Or, is it a dragon? Oh, it's like a Cthulhu, it's a kaiju, that's what it is.
Yeah.
But that is amazing. Right.
But yeah,
this looks
do
so
love
good.
the artwork. Yeah,
Oh my gosh,
pulpy as well.
Yeah.
So you play as Mad Scientist.
Max Pulp.
And you have to go and get mortals to kind of make your new Frankenstein monster. But
living mortals?
Living mortals. But you don't want to do it yourself, so you have your Campy Creatures do it. So of course everybody has, every Mad Scientist has a kaiju or a vampire.
Blob.
So, yeah, a blob. So you send these out to capture mortals. So the goal of the game is to score the most points. Now the way you do that is you have to kind of figure out what your opponent's going to do, because everybody has the same cards. And then on your turn, you'll kind of. I love games where you're trying to guess what the other person's going to do, like like Citadels. Trying to figure out what they're going to do, and I clearly can't drink the one in front of me, kind of thing. So,
a little bit of Princess Bride in there.
Yeah. So, so what you'll do is you'll play a card, and then the person that has the highest number will get a mortal first. The mortals have.
Are these ones or?
Oh yeah, those are the mortals.
Okay.
Yeah. So the mortals, they all have different points, but some of them they have like if you have an odd amount of engineers, you get -2, but if you have an even amount, you get 3. So the scoring is you're really trying to get certain ones to get you certain points.
Okay, so there's a little set collection in there as well.
And there's also, let me show the little board. Here's the board, because we will be battling at locations.
Okay,
so different locations have different cool abilities, and so each turn you'll battle at a location, and then when you're going down to the last mortal, that's the one that gets away. They run away, and then
to tell the story.
that indicates that it's the end of the round. At the end of the round, whoever has the most of these icons in the left corner wins that location. You get to do that ability, or you get that the bonus.
Okay, so double the score of your archaeologist.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you play multiple rounds?
So you play 3 rounds.
Okay.
Game lasts about 20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But if you're short on time, you could just do 1 round.
Right.
That'd be fun too. Yeah.
I love games that are chunked like that, where it's just like, you usually do this, but you get the feel of it just for playing through real quick. I love these tokens.
Yeah, these tokens are great. I'm gonna pull
these
them out. So these are your little player tokens, and then these are for the clash-o-meter, because every once in a while you both play kaijus, and you have to figure out who wins. So the last person to last see a horror film or a campy movie gets to be on top, and then just as you win, you slide down, and then if you're tied at the end of the game, whoever's at the top, it's not the most serious of games. wins.
Yeah, but that's adorable.
Yeah.
And you have your little point trackers, I guess, here as well. And just components like this. I mean, this is the kind of game, if it had been self-published without Kickstarter, maybe these were stretch goals or something, but they're just adding some nice chunky tokens. Elevates it, I think, gives a little flair.
And Keymaster does a lot of good games. They have Caper as well, if you're familiar with that one. That one's also a really beautiful game.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the kind of thing, it is a lighter game. The theme of it's great, especially with Halloween coming up. And it's the thing you could break out with your friends and be like, oh, we're going to play this. And they would look at it, even if you're a non-gamer, and it would just suck them in. It's like, oh, what's happening here? Like, this looks so cool that I want to play it. Which can be great if you're playing with gamers and non-gamers. I also appreciate that it's got a lot of bags in there. So if you want to change up how everything is packaged, you can do so. You're probably going to need to repackage these afterwards. I'm kind of shoving it in there a little bit. All right. And we have one game left, which is Obscurio, if you want to grab that.
This one's releasing today.
Campy Creatures. Releasing today? Ooh,
yeah, it releases today.
Exciting. Fresh off the shelf. All right, Obscurio. Tell me about Obscurio.
So Obscurio, so you're a bunch of wizards, and you heard, hey, at this library, these really cool magic items. You're like, oh, we might as well raid there and get some cool items.
Yeah.
So all of your group goes in to this library, and then you get in there and you find a magic book, which is called the Grimoire.
Of course.
You find it, but before you can leave, you realize that there's like a maze to get out. And the sorcerer is trying to
crack this open.
keep you in.
So it turns out it wasn't just it's like a lured with candy, right, into this maze.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in here. It's okay, I pull
so
what?
Yeah. The components are amazing.
What? That's heavy. That's got a heft to it.
It's magnetic. Here, let me move that. You can show that. But that is the Grimoire. The book is actually helping you out.
Yeah.
That's trying to get out of
the book is trying to escape.
But it can't talk, and the player who plays the Grimoire can't talk. But what it can do is it can communicate to players using these little butterfly tokens. And they just go right on there, and you can point at different stuff on there.
It goes on top of the...
Because you can point to different things.
There's round pictures that slot into the Grimoire. Right off the bat, this is giving me a Mysterium vibe.
Definitely, yeah. So the way this one is different is that it is a cooperative game.
Oh, okay.
But there's also a traitor.
Oh.
The sorcerer has taken over, kind of befuddled somebody into trying to turn against your group.
Yeah.
So the way it works is you go in.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's heavy, 'cause it is magnetic, and then you can point, because with Mysterium, you hand the cards, and they're like, oh, look at this mirror in the corner, and it's reflecting a red light, and you're like, I was not even thinking about that. You're saying this internally, because you can't talk as a ghost. You're like, just don't look at the mirror, and everyone's like, oh yeah, and then they're like making this deduction crazy thing, and you're like, it's just the teddy bear. The teddy bear is huge and in the middle, and no one sees it. But with this, with the pointer, you can actually direct people's attention.
And there are two of them you get to, here's the other one.
Oh,
two of them you get to use.
Oh my gosh.
So you can really focus on one thing. Or what you can do
to the tentacle?
is you can even just point at the whole thing. If you're like, I want you to look at this overall.
Ooh, yes. This actually, when I'm holding this, it stays up there pretty well, but normally you'd probably just lay this down on the table. Oh, I also like, so I've been talking recently with people about zones of play, and like you have a board here. A lot of times if something's too far away from you, you don't really pay attention, but this is something you can like hand to someone.
Yeah.
And you can pull it in and actually look at it and peruse everything, which I really appreciate. Just put it in the nose, put it in her nose.
So,
All right.
so the Grimoire will get a clue, and then they're trying to figure out how with these pictures you can communicate what this picture is, and so that no one sees that after the Grimoire gets to see it, and then the traitor gets to come in and throw things off.
Yeah, let's pull this out here. There's a whole book of, what do you even call these?
They're illusion cards.
Illusion cards. Oh, even the theming is great. No, I won't be able to get that back in there. I'll deal with it later. It's just very well put together. I don't want to rush and mess it up. So the trader gets this book?
Well, so this is a book that the Grimoire is going to pick from.
Okay.
But the trader gets to pick out 0, 1, or 2 cards to kind of throw off the crew. So they'll look at this. They won't know what the clue is, but they'll look at this and say, pointing at the tentacle, I'm going to try to find a card that maybe will throw them off like a tentacle theme. So they might throw that in there. And then the Grimoire will get 6 cards total. So we'll take our 1 trader card plus the rest of them. And then what they'll do is they'll put it on this board. And the wizards will try to figure out.
Just keeps getting cooler and cooler.
Yeah, we'll try to figure out which one it is. And so there'll be a time where you can talk.
And you put the one that was secret in with these?
No. Oh, yes, you do. Sorry.
Okay,
yeah. Yeah, so you put the secret one in there, so that one's a choice. And then you put out a timer, and then everybody talks. They're like, oh, okay, I think... So everybody gets their own little token.
Tokens are
yeah,
great,
like,
too.
I think that it is this
screen
one.
printed on there.
And the cool thing is maybe someone's like, oh, yeah, that sounds good, and they jump in with you. But then the key is you're trying to find which one it is, so you may spread out. But if you do spread out, you could lose your cohesion tokens.
Ooh,
and that's how you lose the game, is you run out of cohesion tokens. But if you succeed, get through 6 different rooms, you get out. But when you get low on cohesion tokens, then there's a round to figure out, maybe we can figure out who the betrayer is. So the traitor. So you'll do on that one is you will, everybody will talk about it, and then there'll be like a 1, 2, 3 point. And then if you find the traitor, then they can no longer put their character there, mess you up, but they'll still get to do the selection. So they're not out of the game. And that usually happens near the end, as you're running low on cohesion tokens.
So you do this whole thing 6 times.
Yeah.
Like do you keep the same ones in here, or do you replace?
No, you'll replace them.
Each round, so you go through 6 rounds
yeah.
like that. Okay. And there's a bunch of these different ones. You have a lot of
so there's a bunch of different ones
and flavor to go through.
And there's an additional thing that I didn't talk about, which are traps. There are traps in the game, which can can make things further obscured.
Oh my gosh.
So you can. That one has like a mist over it. This one makes it so you can't tell what the colors are. Yeah, there's all kinds of different traps. There's even a trap that will add an additional door, like there. So, yeah.
Wow.
This one's really cool. I'm super excited for this one.
Even the art style there's like a Mysterium / Dixit vibe to it, but all of these games, they have their own style. Like the style for this is very strong. I like the mechanics. I like the simplicity of it as well. I like Mysterium. If you play by the American rules, there's like with extra tokens and timers, and they make a little more complexity, whereas this one seems like once you got into it, you would really like sink into the vibe. There wouldn't be anything standing in your way from just like throwing down and playing stuff.
Yeah, and the game box lists it at, I think 2 to 8 players. But really, this game starts to shine around 4 because then you get the trader. Trader in there as well. I think it's really cool. And like I feel like Mysterium sometimes, if you have a group that's played a long time, you start to get a lot of table talk. Like this, I feel like really kind of solves that. It's not like, I think it should be the yellow room, And then because you can in Mysterium you can make it be that room. So we've had problems where someone just can't not like that. Just can't not do that. So yeah.
Gaming the game, so to speak.
So.
Yeah. This is cool, and this is one of those games. See, again, we're talking about Halloween coming up, so this is definitely has that spooky sort of a vibe to it. I have to say that with game boxes, this is one of them. It's very muted colors. The art doesn't really speak to what kind of game. This is a game that I would look past. I'm like, oh, that's probably got a lot of fiddly bits. I would peg this as like a strategic,
like noir,
worker placement, like fiddly sort of a game. I've not expected this at all.
Yeah, and nobody really knows what like Obscurio doesn't really jump out.
Yeah,
doesn't say like Wizard Library, Escape from Wizard Library.
Yeah, Escape from Wizard Library,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like
that might be like, oh, what's this? Escape from Wizard Library.
Yeah, the fact that it's cooperative, like a lot of other cooperative games have different theming to them. And that's what's great about New Release Rundown is we crack these open and now you're like, oh, that's what that is. That's actually a really good fit for me, where I would have walked past it if it was on a shelf. And also coming to Red Castle Games and being able to test games out. I'm sure you recommend games to people who come in as well, so you can get over that barrier of checking out these new things. Cool. We should probably take some care putting this together, so I will just do this for now and we'll pack it up after the show. But that's about all the time that we have left. I think we've hit all the games. We didn't miss anything. Cool. So anything else you want to say about Red Castle Games?
Yeah, so if you want to check out Obscurio, we have a cool event coming up in October called Cthulhuween. It's going to be all weekend. I think it's the October 19th weekend. We're going to have board games. We're going to have role-playing games. We're going to have Call of Cthulhu. We're trying to get someone to do Dread, which is fun.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that.
So you have Cthulhuween and you have regular events as well that people can come out and play games, magic, role-playing games, learn games.
We also have our D&D Academy, which is our after-school program.
Oh, fun.
So that's going great. There's tons of stuff to do. You can check us out on redcastlegames.com.
Yeah, and I believe we're posting a link in the chat for that as well. Perfect. That's about all the time we have today. Thank you so much, Andrew, for coming out. This was super fun. Learned a lot about these cool new games. For you and our audience, if you're in or near Portland, definitely check out Red Castle Games. As for our shows that we have here on Gen Con TV, we have New Release Rundown every Friday. Next Friday, we're actually not doing shows, either Table Takes or the New Release Rundown. We're going to have a little bit of a hiatus before we come back. But we do also usually have Brothers Murph playing games on Mondays and Fireside with Peter Atkinson on Wednesdays. Lots of great shows to check out. Make sure you subscribe, and you can also follow the channel to stay updated with our shows. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.
See ya.